In 2009, Nicolas Cage owed the IRS $14 million. He had earned hundreds of millions over 2 decades of filmmaking, and somehow it was gone. Among the assets listed when his finances were examined, 15 homes, 4 yachts, and a collection of exotic cars that included 9 Rolls-Royces, Lamborghinis, and a fleet of motorcycles worth millions on their own. Cage did not go broke because he was reckless. He went broke because he had convinced himself, the way most people do, that the things surrounding him were evidence of success, that the car in the driveway proved the money was real, that the upgrade was the reward for the work. What he did not realize, and what most people do not realize until it is too late, is that the upgrade was not the reward. It was the trap. And the mechanism behind that trap is far more common, far more ordinary, and far more financially damaging than most people want to admit. Here are 8 reasons why this one lifestyle upgrade quietly drains wealth faster than almost anything else. A new luxury vehicle loses somewhere between 15 and 20% of its value the moment it leaves the dealership. Not over a year, on the same day. By year 3, the average new car is worth roughly 50% of what you paid. By year 5, it is often closer to 40%. A vehicle purchased for $90,000 is, 5 years later, worth somewhere around $36,000. That is a $54,000 loss on a depreciating asset. And that number does not include the interest paid if it was financed, does not include insurance, does not include maintenance. What makes this particularly damaging is that it does not feel like a loss. The car is still there. You are still driving it. The decline is invisible until the moment you try to sell, at which point the damage is already done. Jan Koum co-founded WhatsApp and sold it to Facebook for $19 billion. During the years he was building it, he drove a broken-down Volkswagen Golf, not because he could not afford better, because he understood something most people miss. When you buy a luxury car, you are not buying transportation. You are buying the signal, the feeling of arrival, the message the car sends to people at the valet stand, outside the restaurant, in the parking structure at work. And that signal has a price, not a one-time price, a recurring one. The moment you normalize that signal, going back feels like failure. You have set a floor for your self-image, and that floor is expensive to maintain. You are no longer paying for transport. You are paying a subscription for a version of yourself. Routine maintenance on a luxury vehicle can cost 3 to 4 times what the same service would cost on a standard car. A basic oil change on a high-end German vehicle routinely runs $300 to $400. A brake job can reach $2,000. A timing chain replacement on a high-performance import can approach $10,000. Over the lifetime of ownership, the average luxury car buyer spends significantly more on maintenance than they anticipated on the day of purchase. This is by design. Luxury brands engineer specialized parts, proprietary fluids, and dealership-only service requirements into their vehicles. The car is the entry ticket. The service relationship is where the ongoing cost lives. Most buyers calculate the purchase price and the monthly payment. Almost none calculate the decade of maintenance that follows. Insuring a $100,000 vehicle does not cost the same as insuring a $30,000 vehicle. Depending on the make and model, comprehensive insurance on a luxury car can be 3 to 5 times higher than a standard vehicle used in the same way. A high-performance sports car can cost $3,000 to $5,000 per year to insure fully. A comparable standard vehicle might run $800 to $1,200. That gap of $2,000 to $4,000 per year is invisible in the initial excitement of the purchase. Over 10 years, it adds between $20,000 and $40,000 to the total cost of a vehicle that was already depreciating throughout. None of this appears in the monthly payment. None of it surfaces in the dealership conversation. It arrives quietly every month on a separate invoice. When Floyd Mayweather parks a Bugatti, he does not walk inside in budget clothes. The car creates a context, a social contract, a standard that everything surrounding it is expected to match. This is the cascade effect, and it is one of the most expensive psychological forces in personal finance. Once your transportation reflects a certain level, your wardrobe, your dining, your watch, your vacation choices all feel the pressure to follow. None of it is conscious. It happens gradually, the way buying a new couch suddenly makes the rest of the room look inadequate. The luxury car does not just cost what it costs. It costs whatever it inspires you to spend in the months and years that follow. That number is almost impossible to calculate in advance. In retrospect, it is almost always larger than the car itself. A $1,500 monthly payment on a luxury vehicle feels manageable to someone earning a solid income. It feels especially manageable when a salesperson presents it as the alternative to a large lump sum. What financing does is divide an enormous number into pieces small enough that the total becomes invisible. $84,000 is a number most people would pause at. $1,400 per month for 60 months feels like a subscription. The same amount of money produces entirely different emotional responses depending on how it is framed. Over a standard 5-year finance term on a luxury vehicle, a buyer often pays between $15,000 and $25,000 in interest alone. That is money that produces nothing. It does not appreciate. It does not compound. It disappears every month in exchange for access to something that is itself losing value. Mark Zuckerberg drove an Acura TSX for years while building Facebook into one of the most valuable companies in history. When asked why, he said something simple. He did not want his possessions to require active management. He wanted his energy going toward building, not maintaining an image. Most people who upgrade to a luxury car never ask themselves what happens if they need to go back. If income shifts, if a business has a difficult year, if life requires financial flexibility. Because in their minds, going back is not a neutral financial decision. It is a public admission of failure. This identity lock-in is one of the most underestimated traps in wealth building. Once a lifestyle level becomes who you are, rather than simply something you have, you will make increasingly irrational decisions to protect it. You will delay investments. You will take on debt that does not serve you. You will choose the wrong financial path because the right one conflicts with how you need to be seen. Here is the calculation that nobody does at the dealership. An $80,000 luxury vehicle financed over 5 years, with insurance, maintenance, and depreciation all accounted for, carries a true 10-year cost that commonly reaches $120,000 to $150,000 when everything is included. The same $80,000 invested at a standard long-term market return and left alone for 20 years becomes somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000. The difference is not the car. The difference is what happens to capital when it is put to work versus when it is put on display. Wealthy people who maintain serious wealth understand this intuitively. They treat their money as something with a job to do, and a luxury car, for all its appeal, is money that has been permanently reassigned from building wealth to signaling it. The lifestyle upgrade is never just about the thing you buy. It is about what the purchase reveals about how you think about money, whether you see it as a tool or a reward, whether it works for you or whether you work to maintain it. The people who build serious wealth tend to make this distinction early. They buy what serves them. They invest what can grow. And they resist the cultural script that tells them the upgrade is the point. Because it never is.